Sustainable, innovative, experiential, wow. This is REI. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for having us here today. We're looking forward to helping REI continue to have the most sustainable advantage out there in the outdoor experience. But before we begin, I really want to talk about our purpose. Why are we here today? What's our motivating factor? What's driving us? Well, as you know, the sustainable initiatives at REI this year have 4 main approaches, going from curating products to talking about core values and practices. And today, you've tasked us with really focusing on catalyzing experiences. With that, the objective in mind is simple. It's to catalyze experiences with a disruptive strategy that leverages the sharing economy. But before we can catalyze, we have to understand, what does it mean to catalyze an experience? To catalyze an experience is simple. It means to accelerate something. It means to spark a desire. It means to have people say, yes, I want to go outside, and I want to go outside now. With this, it directly translates into the vision of the founders of REI. 4 founders came together and said, we want a place where there's quality hiking gear, quality outdoor gear. But it wasn't simply to turn a profit. No, it was more of making sure there was a place for adventure to happen and a place to smart community and stewardship. Stewardship is a big value of REI, so we really want to talk about where it starts from. Customer social responsibility. With that is 3 Ps, people, planet, and profit. REI, as you know, really focuses heavily on the people and planet to give us a great stewardship initiative. From stewardship initiatives, we have 2 specific areas, which is community relationships and the outdoor experience. And that's where our strategy fits in. Catalyzing experiences directly links these 2. But how do we do this? To first catalyze experiences, we really have to understand the trends in the economy. With that, we have to look at how business is done. As you all know, there's 3 traditional ways of retailing: brick and mortar, the traditional store; e-commerce, an e-tailer like Amazon would be an example; and then, of course, the growing share economy. And this example would be best populated by Airbnb. We really want to focus on this sharing economy where we see a 25% growth rate in the future. From here, what is the share economy? The share economy has 4 basic pillars: consumption, production, learning, and finance. We really want to focus heavily on those first 3 as they're most in line with REI values. With consumption, we really want to make sure that there's a greater access to goods. With production, we want to make sure that we're minimizing the use of limited resources. And with learning, this is really the core of REI, sharing expertise and building community. From here, we have 3 main goals. The first, of course, is leveraging that share economy so we can be competitive in the future. The second is sustainable innovation, because we want to minimize our environmental impact, always as part of the REI mission. And of course, catalyzing experiences, my favorite part. Really making people say, yes, I want to be outdoors, and I want to be outdoors now. So how do we do that? How do we achieve these goals? I'd like to invite Jeremy up to talk about it further.
Thank you, Demi. To do so, we first considered REI stakeholders: the leadership team, the employees, the co-op members, the collaborators or supply chain partners, and the environment. We then identified the common shared needs between all these stakeholders to make sure that no matter what option we identify, we address not only REI's needs and goals, but the needs of these stakeholders as well. And with that being said, the first option was gear sharing, to facilitate peer-to-peer lending to maximize utilization of existing resources. Gear repair, educating members to prolong the product life, focusing on providing interactive learning experiences to do so. Repurpose supply chain waste, to utilize byproducts for a new purpose. Rather than disposing of manufacturing waste, providing it to a supply chain partner so that they can create additional outputs. Optimize use of transportation, to leverage collaborative networks to maximize the use of existing truck space and to decrease the environmental impact of each shipped unit. Crowdsourcing R&D, to utilize customer input for product development, to make sure that the company is producing only what the customer truly wants, whether it is more sustainable materials or more utility and features. TED Talks, knowledge sharing with community experts, to provide a community and platform where like-minded individuals can share their knowledge and experiences within the environment. And finally, an interactive platform to leverage the sharing economy to increase access to quality outdoor experiences. And with these options in mind, we then considered REI's relationships within the environment in which it operates. REI provides quality outdoor experiences to its members by focusing on products, quality outdoor gear. REI has also been focusing on experiences through the REI adventures, classes, and different opportunities to sustainably engage with the environment. We see an opportunity to integrate products and experiences and to redefine the outdoor experience. But what is the outdoor experience? If I were to go outside today, I have to ask myself several questions. Where am I going to go? Who will I go with? Where do I go to get what I need? How will I get there? And then the experience itself. And then how can I share my experience with others? And where should I explore next? There's so many questions to ask myself, and all of these answers are found in different sources. Whether it's a guidebook for the right trail reviews or multiple stores to find the right products. We want to shift the focus away from these questions and onto the enjoyment of the outdoors. We want to redefine the outdoor experience by vertically integrating this entire process into one streamlined experience. But what is our strategy?
To make the complex simple, thank you, Jeremy. Our solution is to integrate for the first time product and experiences. This is Escape by REI. The interactive platform will touch base on 4 key elements to disrupt the current customer journey. Number 1, to integrate the entire planning process so that users can go online whether they want to find a destination they want to go to or see the gear that is needed to go on the experience. Second is to really lower the barrier to entry to outdoor experience. So new users, new hikers, they can borrow gears from different users in the community for a low cost and try out the gear and go on the trail. This brings us to our point 3 of leveraging the sharing economy. Really enhancing the utilization of existing resources that are out there. People who own equipment, they can now share it to other users, not only share their knowledge, but share their gear. Lastly, and most importantly, we want to stay true to what REI is known for, and that is the knowledge and expertise. Escape will be an extension of the REI community, where we'll be able to really connect the outdoor enthusiast. So enough about the talking. Let's take a look at the website. This is the main page of the website, and I'd also like to introduce you to John. John is completely new to the Pacific Northwest, and he's really excited to get himself involved in the outdoor experience. So as you scroll down on the website, he can see various activities, from kayaking, mountain biking, camping. Let's say he wants to find a hiking trail. He can simply click onto More Info, and this will bring him to the trail page. Immediately, he will be able to see 61.5 miles from him, 3 out of 5 difficulty rating, relatively good for a new beginner hiker like him. Since he has signed in through his Facebook account, as you can see on the right-hand side, he now knows 10 of his friends have been to the hike. So traditionally, he would only have access to the knowledge of his friends. But with Escape, he now has the knowledge to the entire community. As we click on to read more, this brings us to the review page. Now that John has finished the hike, he is excited to share his knowledge. On the second road for the comment, you can see, John said, "I'm used to doing beginner hikes, so I was a little concerned, but this one was great." Now he is sharing his knowledge to other users in the community and really encouraging others to go out there. And like Demi said, go out there and tell them that, hey, you can do this right now. The first row is tapping on the expert advice that REI currently already have, and that is helping people choose the right tent or their trekking pole. In this case, for John, after he's been in the community for quite a while, he might want to challenge himself. Let's say he wants to climb Mount Rainier. This is where a gear checklist becomes extremely handy. As he clicks onto that, he'll see 2 categories. On the right-hand side is the gear he owns. These are collected as he created the profile. On the left-hand side, these are the gear that he would need on the hike. And this is just a few of them. These are curated by the user who have shared the equipment that have successfully helped them to have a great outdoor experience, as well as monitored by the REI employees. So let's help John find the right backpack. Simply click on to Find Gear. This brings him to the page of borrowing and buying the gear. The buying process will go through the REI current website, whereas the borrowing would be renting an equipment from the existing user in the community. In the borrowing process, extremely easy. Simply view options, add it to cart, go to REI, pick up the equipment, and talk to an REI employee to answer any questions he may have, and then just really go out there, embrace himself in the outdoor experience, come back, potentially buy the perfect equipment for him, and then repeat. So now that you have seen an amazing platform, what does this actually mean for REI?
Thank you, Crystal. So what's incredible about this platform is that from the moment John decides he wants to go hiking until he finally gets on the trail and then eventually shares his experience, Escape by REI is with him every step of the way. Fast Company defines its disruption as eliminating persistent customer pain points. And in this instance, like the hassle and the time it takes. Today you asked us to do three things: to innovate sustainably, to utilize the sharing economy, and to catalyze experiences. This platform does all three. By crowdsourcing data and information from the community, REI is more able to make accurate prediction of what people need, and it provides customers with a platform where they can share the gear they're not using with other members to maximize its utilization. It also lowers the barriers to entry, making it easy for new people to get out into the community and rent or try gear. The benefits are wide-ranging, but I'll touch on two. For the employees, it gives them a new platform where they can share the knowledge they share every day in the stores onto this platform. And for customers, it makes it simple because now they can easily plan a trip and get out there and go. The implementation will take place over the initial 6 months, where it'll happen in the stores around the REI founding flagship in the Puget Sound area. Then, the following year, assuming it all goes well, we'll begin the nationwide rollout. In the third year, we'll begin the implementation of supply stations. These are essentially smaller rental facilities located near major trailheads in areas such as Yosemite or the Tetons, so people can pick up gear on their way in and out. So you may be wondering, how are we going to evaluate the impact? Well, we're going to do so in 5 ways. First, we want to increase REI's membership by 20%. Second, we want to get 20% of REI's users onto the platform and increase the number of user reviews by 30%. Also, the platform has some volunteering features to make it easy for people to get involved with their local communities, and we believe we can double the number of hours REI donates to service every year, along with using big data to reduce inventory levels and reduce our impact to the environment. With every platform, there are risks. There's the chance that it doesn't catch on. We believe we can address this by having associates engage in word-of-mouth marketing, doing a nationwide media campaign across Backpacker Magazine, Outdoor Magazine, and a few other social media outlets. There's also the risk that people don't engage with the platform. But a study by VentureBeat found that gamification can increase user involvement by 30%, and this could be incredibly useful as to get people to engage with the platform. There's also the risk that it cannibalizes from our existing sales. But this can be solved with effective pricing so that it's never more cost effective to borrow for an extended period of time than it is to buy. So what are the benefits? Well, because of the advanced data analytics that we have, so we can track people and give them more accurate recommendations, along with the new additional rental revenues, we estimate the benefits at $252 million. The costs are approximately $11 million, including the rollout, marketing, a data analytics system, bringing us to a NPV of $241 million. And with this, I'll pass off to Demi to recap.
Thank you, Will. I know that we've given you a lot to think about, so let's take a moment to recap and summarize it. You wanted something that was disruptive to the industry, and we've given it to you. We're going to be the first outdoor company to really leverage the sharing economy, making us great also for the future. And how did we do this? By accomplishing these 3 goals. With the share economy, we've leveraged the 3 key aspects that I mentioned earlier. We've leveraged shared consumption by making goods more accessible. This is by minimizing risk of people trying out new goods because they have both expert advice and also community advice. We've also leveraged the consumption and collaborative production, which is by minimizing the use of limited resources, and this is done by making sure that we don't have extra overhead hanging around and inventory in the physical stores. And then, of course, the learning aspect, something that REI is known for, and that is making sure that we are leveraging this ability to have information and expertise shared by community and REI members. And with sustainable innovation, of course, we've hit that well. Again, like I said, we're minimizing inventory and transportation costs and also maximizing the use of existing resources. So that backpack you bought earlier, it's not just sitting in your closet and maybe used once a year. Instead, it's being rotated out and used maybe 20 times a year. And of course, catalyzing experiences, my favorite. We're making sure that people are going out there. We've eliminated all the hassle, the risk, the scaredness of, I don't know where to go. What do I need? Where do I go? How do I do this? By giving everyone one integrated platform where they know everything. So from beginner to professional, they're willing to try new places. And instead of worrying about the process, they're sitting there going, all right, how do I have community? How do I have my friends? How do I go on adventure? And how do I escape outdoors right now? Thank you, and we'd like to open the floor to questions.
I have a question on the logistics of the borrowed equipment. I'm not sure, so I get the website, it looks really cool. So if you're clicking on borrowing, where is it coming from? The person who actually owns it, where are they taking it to, and at what time? Is this, you've talked both, two systems, one that seemed to be that there's sort of a permanent storage of borrowed equipment, and the other one that seemed to be maybe more just in time, like, or in demand. But, so I'm just not clear.
So to answer that question, the borrowing comes from two spots. It's the current REI rental facilities, so that's renting in the actual physical REI store. We've changed the name to borrowing because it's a little bit more community-oriented. But then the shared economy part of it comes from different users. So let's say I need a backpack. I've gone on and I've clicked, I need the REI 70 series, and I click that. And there's a host of people who have said, from this time to this time, I'm available to lend this piece of equipment. So the computer would say, all right, these 4 people are available to send during this time. Let's send an email to the one who's most active on it and tends to lend out first, see if we can get a response from them. From there, they can either come directly to the store and drop off their REI equipment for the person to pick up in the scheduled amount of time, or it can be done by backhauling as well.
And then just a follow-up question, and then in those rentals, are rental fees going entirely to the owner of the equipment, or does REI get any cut?
So essentially how that's going to work is it's going to be a very similar model to Airbnb. So REI will take 30% of the rental fee, and then the customer who is actually renting it will get, or the lender will get the other 70%.
Can you talk a little bit about from the how much space, what types of, are there categories where you would allow rentals or not allow rentals? How do you think about risk management? And then also talk about the store operations side of things. And what is a store associate going to be doing? Is it just like a black box and they just put it on a shelf and then somebody collects the black box,
We'll talk about the short term and the long term. So in the short term, what we highlighted was the use of existing REI facilities. So with the borrowing process, I know currently REI provides only rental gear that is less, hold you less liable or less risky to use. So no climbing gear, of course, nothing that will immediately impact the safety of your life. So more about camping gear, hiking, and again, it's all about creating accessibility for people new to the experience, also people that want to experience additional activities. So on that end, that's the kind of gear that we would focus on. Going forward, it's more about focusing within those categories of hiking and kayaking. It's more about focusing on the variety of products offered. And in terms of store operations, so in the short term, again, it's utilizing existing REI facilities. So there are already rental facilities in stores, and so this would essentially utilize those existing spaces. And yes, there would be scale in terms of the variety of products, but as we said, with the recommendations of, and looking at the analytics of what products are actually needed for the environment, we pull in only what we actually need from the supply, which is the customers willing to lend their gear. So in that case, we can minimize or maximize the utilization of the existing rental space. In the long run, we talked about the supply stations. So having these supply stations are essentially small rental facilities that are located near hiking trailheads or near national parks, and by doing using those specific areas and the distribution through backhauling, we're able to, again, focus on big data and analytics to really cater to what the needs are within that area.
So a question about getting started. So it looks like there are a lot of data sources that you're looking to leverage. So whether it's hiking information or other things like that, what data do you need? What data currently exists, and how do you plan to get access to that?
So one of the initial data sources that we think is going to be really useful is the existing, REI already has information on what all of its members have purchased. So when you go on the website and you create a profile, you'll put in all of the information you'll put in your information, and then for members, it will already be able to pull that information directly. Then so the actual data analytics system, as far as determining what people in that individual area need, is not going to roll out for a year. So first, we're going to build up a little bit of a data set on the platform, so we'll know what people are actually using in that area. For the first year, it'll be more similar to the existing rental structure, where we carry a wide variety of products, and we draw those from people who've said they'd like to lend their gear out.
And in regards to additional data such as like travel reviews and ranking and difficulties like that, a lot of that comes from community crowdsourcing and it averages the score. So I've been to Lake 22, as Crystal was talking about earlier, and I've ranked it as a difficulty level of 3. Jeremy might come in, rank it as a difficulty level of 5, and that'll average a score, as well as from the REI experts, because as you all know, the employees at the store are very, very knowledgeable, so it's utilizing their research as well and their experiences. And long term, we could also look to partner with places like the Northwest Trail Association.
I really like the crowdsourcing idea. I have some questions about the rental piece. And when I look at your appendices are amazing, lots
Thank
of
you.
detail. But when I look at the rental fees, what's the ratio of fees through borrowing to the loss of revenue from sales? How did you find that sweet spot?
So being that REI is a private company, we had to make some estimates as far as what the actual rental revenues were. We estimated that approximately a half to 1/25% of the overall revenue comes from rentals. So with our existing structure, when we talked to people at the store, they said that it was approximately a 50%. If you're gonna rent for 2 weeks, that recoups approximately 50% of the rental cost. What we did in our estimations is we increased that to 60% to account for the fact that we only get 30% of the total rentals. We are capturing about 2/3 of the additional amount, but we think we'll get a lot of additional scale from it. And as gear wears down, in the beginning, we'll utilize REI employees to determine when it's not of quality anymore, and then they can swap it out with new gear within the network and tell people to pick it up.
There is certainly a risk of losing retail sales. Do you foresee within your program any opportunities? Have you identified those either to upsell or increase retail sales of those or other products?
In terms of the retail sale, the key here is that we're collecting data not only on what people buy at the store, at the REI store, because if they're a member, they can enter right into our data, the Escape community. But the fact is that now we'll know the context of where people are using the equipment. So this is where Will mentioned how we can potentially have a 5% decrease in our inventory because we're only producing the equipment that people in the region need. And in that sense, that will potentially increase the sales because we won't be producing anything people don't need in the region.
So you showed a rollout plan that began in the Pacific Northwest and here at the flagship store. I'm curious, as it goes out nationally, are there key markets that you see as being kind of fundamental to the long-term success and viability of this?
Absolutely, I'll take that one. So with the Puget Sound being the flagship store, as this is where REI started, we also see a lot of growth in the Denver store and the stores over in Minnesota. So those are areas where they have a lot of adventure. People tend to be a little bit more outdoorsy. So we'd like to start maybe in Colorado first in the Denver store and then move down south into Arizona and New Mexico, the Grand Canyon region, and then take it out towards the Midwest, towards Minnesota, and then finally to the East Coast.
It's very, it's a great platform and there are a lot of complexities. And obviously it's very difficult to assess all of the risks and costs and benefits. What would be the major risks that you really haven't had the opportunity to investigate?
All right, with a minute left, I would say that the most major risk would be, of course, what if it doesn't catch on? What if we've just spent all this money into developing a product that nobody wants to use? First of all, I see that as being highly unlikely, just based on the nature of the product. It's a moving economy where it's trending towards not only sharing, but also being online and interactive and crowdsourced. But on top of it also, the way that we plan to implement promotion. For example, not only is it word of mouth within the stores, it's positioning ourselves strategically. So talking to national parks saying, hey, we really want your rangers when people come to help and ask for help to say, hey, have you checked out this platform? And additionally to taking the traditional print marketing that we have and having, let's say, a picture of a biker jumping over a log. We saw a couple mountain biking pictures in the store and saying at the bottom right there, this was taken at Rattlesnake Ledge in so-and-so area, and then having a little link, a QR code, where people can say, oh, well, what's the QR code? Scan it, and it immediately pulls them to the platform where it says, hey, look, here's a gear checklist if you want to do this. Here's all the information we have. Look at the platform. So there's ways to combat that for sure. Thank you.
Your time is up.
That means that our first place team was from the University of Washington, Seattle, Foster School of Business for the second year in a row.
Did you get Seahawks colors on purpose?
We have them made. So the trophies that they're receiving are made by a local glass project here in Tacoma called the Hilltop Artists in Residence that get kids at risk blowing glass at one of the middle schools here. So. You. Don't drop it. It'll probably survive. That might not. Unlike the microphone.
No GoPro for you.
And this is the trophy that goes to their school that will go in the trophy case at the Foster School that you guys will always be able to claim. So congratulations.